Hi beautiful people, you are welcome back to yet another tutorial video. If you're new here, you are most welcome. My name is Chinyere Chichi for short, and if you're a returning subscriber, thanks for always coming back. In today's tutorial guys, I'm going to be showing us every single step that is involved in the sewing or making of this very beautiful pleated overlapped dress. I already have the video for the tutorial up on my channel. I'm going to be leaving the link right in the description box. Please click on that link if you haven't watched that before you continue watching this, because that is actually going to give you a guide on what you are doing in this particular video. If this video is the one you're interested in, please sit right back, relax, and continue watching. And also do not forget to hit the subscribe button and give this video a like. Thank you. I'll be using these two pieces for the belts. Here I have the belt stitched. Okay, what I did, I just folded it into two and then stitched. So now I'll be turning it inside out. So here I have it turned inside out. So here I have the part I'll be using for the pleats all stitched together. It's so long. I'm going to be turning it with this interfacing. I'm going to be using this for the interfacing of this. So I'm going to be turning this with this. This is the piece I'll be using for the pleating after I've turned it with the interfacing. So this is what it looks like. So I'm going to keep this aside. And here I have the front, and then I place the back on it like so. So at this point, I'm going to be stitching the shoulders of the front and the back pieces together. So now I have the front and back stitched on the shoulder, and this is what it looks like after I'm done doing that. So here's what we have. So the next thing, I'm going to be taping, that is from this notched area. Remember, we notched this part. So I'm going to be taping it from this point all the way to the back, okay, and then back to the other notched point as well. I'm going to be using a bias, and this is what bias looks like. And remember to always weave your shoulders. Okay, you can see this is weaved. And just in case you don't know how to use your bias for the taping, let me just show us briefly before I proceed to the stitching machine. You get, this is the front part of the dress, then you get your bias, you fold the edge of the bias like this, and then from that notched part you place it on the right side. This is the wrong side of the dress, so this is the right side. You place the bias, the backing, the right side. Can you see how I placed it? And with this part folded in, can you see that? So this is how it's going to, and I'm going to be stitching on this line of the bias. I'm going to be stitching here all the way. So here I have it stitched down. Can you see? But before I do the second stitching, that's stitching it in like so, I'm going to be joining the sides with the body measurement before I fix the pleats. This is what I mean. So here I have the placement ready, and then I just use a pin to hold it down at the overlapping point like so. So having held it down, I'm going to be using the body measurement to join it together at the two sides before I conclude the pleating and then the taping at the upper part of the dress. So now I'm going to be marking out all the body measurement from the waist, from the bust to the waist to the hip and all that. So I'm just going to be inputting all that. You already know how to go about that. So at this point, we are going to be dividing the body measurement by 2. Whatever it gives us, that's what we are going to be using to mark, to shape the dress. Please take note of that. Remember, the bust here is 38 divided by 2. It's going to give us 19. And then the total of what we have here, we have about 21. So we have extra 2 inches. So for that 2 inches, we are going to share it for the both sides of the dress. So I take out 1 inch from this side and then 1 inch on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to be doing the same thing to the waist and then to the hip. Your waist divided by 2. Whatever it gives you, you measure what you have here. So the waist is 31 divided by 2 is going to give us 15.5. So we have extra 2 inches as well. Okay, so that 2 inches we share it for the both sides of the dress. So we do the same thing till we get to the hip. Please just take note of how the division goes in. So this is me connecting all the points together from the bust down to the dress length. So this is how I'm going to be stitching on both sides of the dress. So here I have it stitched already on both sides. So I'm going to be opening 1 inch at this point, say from here to here. Okay, can you see that? Say from here to here. I'm going to be opening 1 inch so that the rope that I'm going to be putting on this inner overlapping will pass through that hole outside of the dress. Okay, so at this point I take out the pin I used to hold it down, so I can now open up. As we proceed, you will know why I didn't turn this one until after the pleating. Okay, because turning it is going to make fixing of the pleating very difficult. So I just left it like this, because after fixing the pleating I can now proceed to finishing up this other one. So now it's time for me to fix the facing, but before I do that, let me weave the inner, because the pleating is going to go all the way from like this, and then to this other point as well. So I need to weave the inside before I do any other thing. So let me get it weaved and then show us how the pleating, should go. So now I have it weaved on the inside. Time for the pleats. So I get this piece that is for the pleats, and then this is obviously the wrong side of the piece, and I place it side by side with the bias I used. So I used an office pin to hold it down, and then if you can't use your eye to gauge your 1 inch, please get your tape rule, or using a tape rule is going to waste so much of your time. So this is 1 inch, but I can always use my eye to gauge my 1 inch. So from that 1 inch, remember the pleating here is a kissing pleat. Okay, it is a kissing pleat, not the regular pleats. So from that 1 inch, because it's a kissing pleat, I fold backward. I don't know if you can see, I fold backward using 1/2 inch. Do you see that? And then I hold it down. While I sew, I'm not going to be holding it down this way. I'm just showing us for the sake of those that do not know how to go about your pleats. And then I get another 1/2 inch. I take it in like so, and I hold it down. So with this, we have our first kissing pleat. Can you see? We have our first kissing pleat. Let me do like 1 more or 2 for better understanding. So for the second one, I fold another 1/2 inch, to touch the tip of the other second 1/2 inch, and then I hold it down again. And then I take the other one, another 1/2 inch, I fold it, the tip touching the other one. Please note that it must not be 1/2 inch for your kissing pleat. It depends on the quantity of fabric you are using and how full you want it to be. Then for the last time, let me just show us 1 more before I proceed. I fold in another 1/2 inch backward this way, the tip of this new 1/2 inch touching the tip of the other one that I just finished. I hold it down again, and then I take another 1/2 inch, the tip touching this one here, touching this other one here, and then I hold it down. So this is what I'm going to be doing all through the pleats. So I'm going to be doing this all around the lower part of the dress. So at this point, I have all the pleats around the dress. Let me do the ironing first. This is what I have after ironing. This is what it looks like. So at this point, I can now tape in this bias area. I'm going to stitch it down all the way, and then I fix the sleeve, and then followed by fixing of the belt. So let me get that done. So this is how it looks after I top stitched on the bias. So this is what the front part looks like. Can you see? And this is what the inside looks like. So for the belt, I have a long one. And a little bit, like they are both unequal. That's the essence of what I'm trying to say. I'm going to take the longer one. I'm going to put it on the part that is on the inside. So I open this up. So the longer one is going to be stitched on this one inside like this. By the time I attach this, I'm going to show us how to attach the second one on this one. That's the second belt, so that we can have exactly the look we have in the picture above. Okay, here I have it stitched one of the overlapping, then I pass it through the hole. So by the time you pass it through the hole, you can see this is what we have. You now get the second belt, the shorter one, and then place it somewhere here. Say like you can leave like 1.5 inch, and stitch it this way, and stitch it down this way, so that by the time this one goes to the back to come out to the front, just watch, by the time this one goes to the back to be tied somewhere here, this one is coming to meet it here. They have it tied somewhere at the front. I did it this way because I want to have the exact look we have in the picture. If not, one of the simplest ways is just by the time I pass this one, I put the first belt here, I just come to this other one and then put the second one here. But in that case, you will not have the belt crossing this part. It will only start from here. But because we want the belt to cross this part, that is why I did it this way. So as you can see, I have that done. I have the shorter one fixed on the longer one. So let me turn it and show us what we should be having. So I pass the two belts through the same hole. The longer one, I take it through the back, just the way you would tie it. And then the shorter one, I pass it over at the front and then you tie. You see? So this is what your belt fixing should look like. Look at the joining, this is what it looks like. Looking very neat. So let me get the sleeves fixed, and guys, we are done with this dress. This is just a quick one on how to wrap this dress. So you take this, you can see that this is the only wrap that has both belts. You can see, you remember how I stitched it. I have the two belts on one like so. So I take the one with the belt and I pass it through the hole that we created on this part. And then I take the longer belt. This is the longer belt. I take it to the back.